Southern joins us now. And Richard, the news that President Donald Trump may actually start the process to pull out of NAFTA will have big implications for the Canadian economy and also next week's Bank of Canada interest rate announcement.
Absolutely. It really moved the market today, Francis, and again, as you say, it could affect whether or not interest rates are going up. So we heard from Bloomberg and Reuters News, and they said, according to Canadian sources, that Donald Trump will pull out of NAFTA at the end of the month. He'll give the 6-month notice to end the agreement. Trump has repeatedly threatened to walk away from NAFTA unless Canada and Mexico agree to major changes. But so far, Canada and Mexico have rejected most of the U.S. proposals for reform. All the major banks here in Canada were predicting an interest rate increase next Wednesday, but now that might be off the table. I asked Avery Schenfeld, senior economist at CIBC, if he's changing his mind about an interest rate hike next week.
It's no sure thing because the Bank of Canada had specifically said that its forecast, the last one it published, included no change in trade relations. So this is definitely a negative for their economic forecast if they decide to now incorporate it. But they might equally say that the growth in employment in the last few months was an equivalent positive surprise or enough of a surprise to carry through with one rate hike. Even then, what it will change is the statement that accompanies it. They can now issue a sterner warning that they're going to be very careful about follow-up rate hikes.
And end result, Francis, Canadian dollar down 0.5 cent, back below 80 cents U.S.
Well, we know there were lots of protests outside some Tim Hortons locations today following a move by some of the owners there to get rid of paid breaks and scale back employee benefits in the wake of Ontario's minimum wage increase. We know paid breaks aren't actually legislated in Ontario, but obviously this must be having an effect on the company's bottom line, especially given the negative press.
Yeah, you think that. So the franchises, they say that the minimum wage increase will cost them $243,000 in profit this year. Labor groups, though, Francis, they say that's not true. They say the company's wildly profitable and can absorb the minimum wage hike. So, yeah, just how big a hit will the bottom line take at Timmy's? I asked Robert Carter with the NPD Group.
You know, any publicity of this kind is obviously bad news for a major restaurant operator like Tim Hortons, particularly in an industry that's so competitive. As we know, labor is always the most expensive cost. These restaurant operators are making single-digit margins at the end of the day.
Francis, investors, they were worried about these protests today. We saw Tim Hortons stock down almost 2% on Bay Street.
Now, we already know that Alberta has actually been increasing its minimum wage actually faster than Ontario, and all the doom and gloom predictions there have actually not come true.
Yeah, so far so good. The minimum wage in Alberta is up to $13.60. It's been there since the fall. It's going up to $15 later this year, ahead of Ontario's. And Alberta, they led Canada in employment growth in December. Province added 26,000 jobs last month, and most of them were in accommodation and food services, the areas where you typically see the most part-time jobs. And this is actually what studies have found time and time again, Francis, is that when you hike a minimum wage in a certain area, you actually encourage employment growth. But we're going to have to see what happens here in Ontario.
See how it plays out. Let's switch gears. And, curious how much you would actually pay for this. It's a new device that's hitting the market that will fold your clothes for you.
I'd pay a small fortune for this.
I would too.
This is the Foldy Mate. They're showing this off at the Consumer Electronics Show today. It's a small cabinet that folds your clothes for you. So you feed in your unmentionables at the top, Francis, by hand, and it folds them up and they spit them out at the bottom. It sells for $1,000, so it's not cheap. It doesn't ship until next year, and no, it doesn't fold your fitted sheets, which are the toughest thing to fold, as you may know.
No, but I want to know if they'll actually put them in the drawers and everything. And
yes, that's what we, and they wash them. We needed to do the washing. We need a full-service laundry machine. That's what we need.
We sure do. That's called me. Yeah. So finally, big changes coming to Diet Coke. It's getting a new look and new flavors amid sinking sales.
Yeah, that's right. So the original Diet Coke will still be available, but they're adding all these new ones, new flavors: ginger lime, feisty cherry, twisted mango, zesty blood orange. They'll come in these thinner, taller 12-ounce cans. Diet Coke sales have been falling as more people switch to low-calorie drinks. Coca-Cola says the new flavors are intended to appeal to millennials. Hopefully Donald Trump is not too worried. Remember, they said he drinks like 12 cans of Diet Coke a day.
And these gimmicks will probably work too, right?
Yeah, something new. Go give it a shot. But people are drinking just less pop overall, so we'll see.
Mango Coke. Who knows? Thank you, Richard.